I actually did have something for the intro this week, but it's not. Well, it has arrived. It's at the sorting office down the road.
Oh,
It's your present.
my present.
Your present.
I'm very concerned.
You're gonna love it. You are gonna love it. No, you are. It's a brilliant. It's one of the best presents I've ever bought somebody.
Wow.
I'm being honest.
That's
there.
a lot.
Yeah, 40 great British pounds I spent on you.
Wow.
I think you'll like it.
I'm still scared though.
It has to be in the episode though.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. It has to stay at the whole episode. It's got to be in shot.
It's not a dildo, is it?
Hello and welcome to Talk Shift, the show hosted by, as some of you commented last week, Bacon and Biryani.
I love it. Honestly.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Who was the commenter that commented that again?
I don't know who it was. We'll put it up on screen.
Yeah.
Legends. That's the most creative thing we've ever been called.
Yes.
We were talking about putting on a t-shirt, weren't we?
Yes, and it's for once it's not about race. Which
Is it? Isn't it? Biryani?
It sort of is, but it's at least creative.
Okay, yeah, fine.
It's not just comparing me to a brown person, which is what all the past ones have been doing.
Oh, we've got a few more, don't worry. Right. I want to talk about Bahrain to begin with. So just for reference, we are between the Bahrain and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix at the moment. I thought it was an exciting race, but I try to think back and think about what actually happened. And there's not a whole lot of highlights.
The main thing I remember is Red Bull struggling a lot. Red Bull were terrible. Oscar driving a million miles into distance, and
he was mega.
And Lando being a bottle job as always.
Yeah, fair enough. 13 bottles I've counted so far this season.
Oh,
13 bottles.
Wow.
I've been told that's me being harsh, but tough. We'll keep the counter going. But
are you going to keep a count through the whole season?
I'm going to keep a count through the entire season now. We're at 13 bottles. We'll easily hit 100 at this rate by the time we get past the summer break. So it's great.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, but I think the big talking point coming out of this one has been obviously Lando versus Oscar, because we came into this season, the bookies were saying that it was going to be Lando all the way for the championship. Oscar, admittedly, he had his faults coming into this one, qualifying being the main one, I think. But now he's turned that around, 2 pole positions, 2 victories, and I'm starting to think, actually, could this be a Piastri runaway championship? I
mean, I said last week that Oscar didn't show the consistency. He did have a dominant performance in Suzuka.
Mm-hmm.
Not Suzuka, sorry. China. But now, I think he's really, really turned the page. Doing that in such a different track as well to China is very, very impressive. I think his mentality is so strong, so robust. I mean, Verstappen made that comment that if he was in a McLaren, he would be winning every race by a mile. And Lando bit, whereas Oscar didn't take the bait.
Yeah, 100%. We've had a few questions about this as well. So if you do want to get involved in this, head over to our social channels and you can ask us questions there. You may well be featured on the show. A bit like this. You've got Bratakakit. I'm going to stop pronouncing that. Cool. Sure. Like you reckon we got a Nico Rosberg situation on our hands with a Lando/Oscar McLaren shithousery this season? I mean, that requires Lando to step up a bit. But I think if he does a little bit more and he does sort of get his act together from now onwards, then yeah, I think we could do.
I personally disagree, because Rosberg made it his entire mentality to mess with Hamilton in every way he could. He was playing as many psychological games as he could, whereas that's not really going on with the McLaren duo right now.
Not yet. I mean, Piastri's performances are kind of speaking for themselves at the moment.
But could you imagine trying to get in Piastri's head? I don't know how you manage it. You can make a your mum joke to him and he'll be like, yeah, it's okay.
I said in the No, it wasn't the comedy review. I said in the video this week that Piastri would have the same facial expression if he won the lottery, or also if you kind of lined up his entire family and just shot them in the head one at a time. His expression just wouldn't change.
Yeah,
he's as cool as Kimi Räikkönen in the sense of just a few more words.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's very different to Rosberg, because Rosberg really was as aggressive as possible mentally and on track.
Mm-hmm.
Where even on track, I don't see them being as aggressive. McLaren is kind of, the team dynamic is kind of like sunshine and rainbows, the way they go about it. because they're like, oh, we're going to treat every driver equally in every situation. And it only took until like 5 races last year, and everyone made fun of them until they were saying, oh, no, we're actually going to prioritize Lando, which they should have done many, many races prior. And so in the land of sunshine and rainbows, I don't think there's going to be as much toxicity.
I'd almost argue that you swap it round and we stop comparing Piastri to Rosberg and instead compare Norris to Rosberg in this situation.
Underdog.
While admittedly Lando is still leading the championship as of time of recording, you know, if Piastri sticks on this dominant run, and he has looked like the more consistent driver throughout this season so far, actually it could be Lando having to work out how to get in Piastri's head, if that's even possible.
It's strange because in Formula One terms, neither of them have been really proven at the front. Lando has been proven in the midfield. In the McLaren days, he was getting podium after podium before they were top team. Almost even won in Russia. And I don't think you could put that too far on Lando's hand that he crashed in Russia. I think that's more on the team side. You see Mercedes, Lewis wanted to stay out as well, but Mercedes said, no, you have to come in, pit for wets. But McLaren didn't do that. They said they trusted Lando's gut, where in that situation, it should be in McLaren saying, no, you should pit.
Yeah, I mean, Lando was, in his 2nd or 3rd season of Formula One at that point. He was still very, very inexperienced. He'd never fought for a win before, and that was his first time. So I think, yeah, the team at that point should have stepped up and realised, oh, hang on a minute, no, we need to take priority here, definitely. But I think Lando has also had a history of bottling it under pressure. And you go back to his junior career, there's that meme of him sat in the gravel trap from like Formula 3 days. I don't know whether you've seen that. But then Formula 2 as well. He had Russell honest for the first half of the Formula 2 season in 2018. And then George just ran away with it in the second half and Lando couldn't keep up. And there were mistakes in that season as well. Not quite as obvious and maybe on show as we've seen over the last couple of years when he's been fighting for Formula 1 World Championships. But we have had that history with Lando where as soon as the pressure's cranked up, he starts to bottle it. And he needs to sort that out. Otherwise, he's not going to win a world championship. And I don't know how long he's got left as well, because 2026, new rules era, Aston have Adrian Newey. Can they do anything with that? We don't know. Either way, we could see a complete shake-up in the running order, and this could be the McLaren drivers' final chance at a world championship in their careers, for all we know.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Oscar has obviously had a very, very strong junior career. I mean, people are calling him the next Charles Leclerc for the teams that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really tough one. I think both of them are really strong drivers. It's just, could you imagine the narrative? You get this golden generation: Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Albon, and then
Albon.
He was part of the golden generation, and in the early junior careers, he was still fighting with them quite hard.
He was a bit of muck that got left in the pan, I think. But I wouldn't put Albon in the same.
Not overall, but in some of his junior careers, he was still very strong.
But he was never consistent enough. And Red Bull ruined his career anyway. I think had they left him in Toro Rosso for another year, maybe he'd be up there still in the Red Bull now for all we know.
But could you imagine this whole golden rookie season, this whole generation gets surpassed by Oscar Piastri, completely put over?
It would be funny, wouldn't it?
Because we were a couple years ago when they first came in, we were definitely saying Leclerc will be a world champion. Mm-hmm. Norris most likely looks like a world champion. What if it never happens and we're in for Piastri dominance? That would be a turn.
I mean, Piastri has sort of come through his career making just the right decisions.
Yeah.
There is an alternate reality where he is still in an Alpine.
Yeah.
And God help him in that case.
I mean, realistically, he would have been an Alpine reserve for the first year because they had Ocon. They weren't getting rid of Ocon.
He might still be an Alpine reserve now, knowing their history with drivers.
And they wanted to keep Alonso, so he would have been a reserve.
That being said, Alpine did announce him as a race driver. So he would have been a race driver.
That was after Alonso said he was going to Aston Martin.
True. it feels like so long ago now with the Vettel retiring.
That's honestly one of my favorite sagas in all of F1 ever, in all of F1 history.
It was brilliant. It was so pure good. Cinema.
That tweet is the most legendary tweet ever made.
Yeah, the thing is, he can never surpass it now. Yeah. Like nothing he ever puts out will ever beat that.
He can get 15 world championships, and it will never surpass that one tweet.
I think we've kind of answered this second question already. Then this comes from DJ. So with the current battle of McLaren between Piastri and Norris taking shape, how important is mental strength in becoming an F1 world champion?
Oh, mental strength is everything, honestly, because we have 24 races now. That's insane. That's almost a third of the year, right? That's more than a third of the year. And the only way you push yourself through, especially for these triple headers, is you have to have those mental resiliences, because over 24 races, things will go wrong at some point. You're not going to win every race.
Unless you're Max Verstappen in 2023.
Yeah, but that car was outrageously far ahead of everyone else. Everyone else just messed up. In a season as close as this, where really the McLaren are only 1 or 2 tenths ahead of everyone else, but that's why they're the dominant car, because the cars are so close together. 2 or 3 tenths could be the difference between Q1 and Q3. Mental strength is everything to get the best out of it all the time, get those last 1 or 2 or 3 tenths, because otherwise you're out of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you can get on such a big high, as I think we've probably seen with Piastri at the moment, and you can ride that high. And if you keep riding that high, you're golden. Equally, if you get stuck in a rut, it's so important to get out of that. I think the best actually example of this is Isaac Hadjar this year. I know he's not obviously fighting for the World Championship, but you look at where he started. I mean, having a shorter debut than Nikita Mazepin.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everyone's forgotten that you were the highest rookie in qualifying in that first weekend. Everyone's forgotten that Bortoletto binned it, that Lawson binned it, that Doohan binned it.
Yeah.
Instead, they're all focusing on you crying into Anthony Hamilton's arms. And yet, he has fought past all of that and having his balls in the pneumatic vice at one stage in Japan qualifying, and come out as what I would say is one of the most underrated drivers on the grid in 2025.
He's completely changed the script. He's a driver that I honestly really underrated. I didn't think too much of him. I thought he was a driver that was only in F1 because Sergio Perez attended that one race and saw one overtake and thought he was a good driver.
Mm-hmm.
But no, actually, he's performed not too far off of Yuki when he was in that seat. He's outperformed Liam in that seat.
Yeah,
I think he's proving to be a very solid rookie. I like it. I think he's got a lot going, and that's mental strength. He's had the mental strength to push past the early failure. But I think that Lando, actually at his peak, Lando right now is the stronger driver out of the two. I said last week that I don't think Oscar has that consistency right now. I think he does now. So I think it's kind of gone the other way around, where Oscar has the consistency, not the peak performance, but he does have the consistency, and that's what you need for a world title.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that.
Maybe you could, fairer comparison is Sebastian Vettel in Ferrari to Lando Norris.
Sorry, where is this going?
Fighting against Lewis Hamilton. Vettel maybe could have had a proper world title shot in 17-18 if he remained more consistent, if he had more mental resilience. But that one crash in Hockenheim completely derailed all of his championship bids. Maybe if he was more mentally resilient, he could have fought back from that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I still think Mercedes had the stronger car in 17.
Yeah, that's true. But a driver makes a big difference, and he could have kept the title going for a long time.
No, I agree with. I think it was inevitable that Hamilton would have won that title, but also, yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. I think it's just fascinating to watch this year because it's so blatant for everyone to see. I think the mental games with Hamilton and Rosberg, maybe it's because the sport wasn't quite as well documented or quite as big back then, but
well, no one watched it because it was just Mercedes being 50 laps in the future.
Well, yeah, but now it feels a lot more out there.
Yeah.
And the effects of it are a lot more out there. Just look at Lando in any press interview, for instance.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but we are very early in the season as well. Yeah. And for all we know, this could completely turn around by the end of it.
100%. So anything can happen right now. I mean, Verstappen still Verstappen is the Kimi Räikkönen right now. He's a very, very outside contender. George Russell is also a very outside contender.
I've seen this, but I don't agree with it.
He probably is. I would say it's Verstappen and then Russell as the two strongest performers. And it's actually really close which way to put them, because Russell, he's done nothing wrong the whole season so far.
Russell's just been consistent, but I don't think Mercedes have the pace to consistently challenge at the front.
I don't think so either. But Fernando Alonso made a lot of almost close championships with cars that were nowhere.
Yeah, but George Russell is not Fernando Alonso. There's a very big difference there.
I mean, maybe this year's his chance to prove himself.
I think maybe this is the year that you get a brain transplant in that case. So, have you seen this clip of Gunther Steiner that's gone viral this week?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, so Gunther Steiner was at the Formula E this week, and they let him wave the checkered flag. And this might well be, this may well be the worst example of waving the checkered flag I have ever seen in my life. Here we go. Does it go? And it's got stuck. No, got
Come
stuck
on, you can
again.
do it. You can do it.
Unfurl it. Oh, here we go.
Get the helicopter.
And oh,
that's it. Oh, he did it for a little bit.
It's almost like they've got the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They've now panned away from it. It's like they've got the Make-A-Wish Foundation to get some, I say lucky kid, it's probably not lucky, to wave the checkered flag, and it's just not worked. He keeps trying the whole thing, and
it's just a figure of 8 pattern that you're supposed to do.
That's
right?
what you're meant to do, but he's just doing an O, which is probably the number of podiums he scored.
I love him helicoptering it.
That could be taken out of context. I'll clip that.
But I still think it's a lot better than. Do you remember when Tim Cook did it? And he was so robotic.
God, yeah. Was there not another one as well?
I strongly remember the Tim Cook one, because he looked like he really, really didn't want to be there.
And there was another. I think it was at Baku. I can't remember who it was, but it was David Coulthard on the commentary saying, "Oh, there's so and so pretending to be a fan of Formula One."
No, it was some music singer, and they cut to a shot of her.
Was it Cardi B? No. I can't remember who it was.
It was like a female musician. I forgot who it was though. But David Coulthard is a legend. Yeah. I love David Coulthard.
We love David C. He's great. That clip kind of brings me back to another one of the questions that we had ahead of this week, and it's from Shane. It's much easier to pronounce. Thank you very much. Who do you think is the best F1 team boss, and whom is the worst? Maybe grade them all.
So this is on the grid right now.
On the grid right now, and I'm glad we're not doing this last year, because I would not have been able to tell you who was team boss of Sauber at that point. They were so irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I think if we work our way through, and then
I need to get a list of all the F1 team bosses. I know most of them.
I think I can memorize them.
I know most of them.
Let's do our best and see where we
go. I don't know
know
Racing Bulls off the top of my head.
Racing Bulls is Laurent Mekies.
Is it Laurent Mekies? Okay.
Yeah, Laurent Mekies
is up in the world.
And Peter Bayer. Yeah, he's doing all right. Mekies was obviously ex-Ferrari. Let's start at the front of the grid though and work our way back.
Yeah.
So should we start with McLaren?
Yeah.
Zach Brown, Andrea Stella. I think they're up there.
They have. It's a really good combo, because Zach Brown is more of he's the money man, right? He has all the sponsors. He's had a very strange career, because he made all of his money through a game show. I can't remember which game show it was.
I don't think it was all of his money,
but that's where he started. That's where he got the money to get all of his investment from. So I don't think anyone's made through his career from that kind of from his background.
It was Wheel of Fortune, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. That was it. I don't think there's any team principal in the world in any sport that's made their money from Wheel of Fortune. But he's a very good money man. He's put so many sponsors on the car. There's probably more sponsors than there is orange. Then you got Andrea Stella, who he's not like Oscar Piastri, I guess. He's just calm, focused, gets the job done.
When they hired Stella, I thought, all right, because I'd seen he was Alonso's race engineer, I think.
Yeah,
and he'd gone with Fernando from Ferrari to McLaren, and he'd sort of quietly worked his way up the ranks. And when they replaced Andrea Seidel with him, I thought, well, that's a bit of a downgrade. How wrong I mean, it's not the first time I've been wrong. First of many, but he has knocked it out the park. So I would say they're up there. If we were to put them on the tier list, I'm saying A, maybe even S tier.
I would say A plus to S tier.
Yeah.
And also, I just quickly want to talk about Andrea Stella. What a downfall he has had. He went from being one of the most respected F1 team principals to going to Sauber for Audi, being the CEO.
Do you mean Andrea Seidel?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You said Stella.
We'll cut that out.
No, we won't.
Andrea Seidel.
Yeah.
He went
this is like Mick Doohan and Mick Schumacher all over again.
That clip also never existed.
I love how that's the only bit that they've taken from that episode is you completely ballsing that up.
If I don't acknowledge it, it never happened. Anyway, so Andrea Seidel, he went from the very highs of being at the McLaren team principal, and he was very strong. He was the one that pushed for the wind tunnel, which has been powering them to these world championship bids now.
Mm-hmm.
And he just seemed like a very, very strong team principal. To then going to Sauber Audi, to being the CEO, and then just being dropped because of his with Oliver Hoffman, because of their scoffs. They just couldn't get along with each other. It's such a downfall.
It was a bit of a mess, and I think with him, James Key as well.
Yeah,
wasn't the key for success at McLaren. He got shafted over to Sauber, and again was soon. I think has he now been sent out the door? I'm pretty certain he has.
I think he has. Well, James Key, he kind of has a reputation for every team he goes to, he makes their cost low.
Because was he not? Was it Toro Rosso he was at before that? I can't remember.
I can't remember, but I know that's his reputation. That every team he goes to, he makes their cost low.
He actually takes his key and locks the door to all of the performance rather than unlocks anything.
I heard that there are rumors of him going to Andretti as well.
Oh well, good luck, Andretti. Good luck.
Anyway, back to the question.
Yeah, so we covered McLaren. Should we go to Red Bull next?
Red Bull.
Christian Horner, Helmut Marko.
Red Bull is so strange because all the other teams, they seem like everyone's working together. But Red Bull, it seems like there's more infighting than there is after we stop this podcast.
Yeah, we have these 2 hours where we're sort of really nice to each other, and as soon as the cameras turn off, we're fucking scrapping all the time. But I actually, this is a hot take, and I am a bit biased here. I've got a story I'll share with you in a moment, but I don't think it's Horner's fault. I think Horner beautifully managed the Sebastian Vettel era, winning those championships.
Yeah.
I don't think he did a bad job with what he had when Renault went out the window with their engines in the turbo hybrid era. And I think he managed Verstappen back into his championship success when they start to pick up steam again. A lot of the infighting has been caused from either the Helmut Marko camp or the Jos Verstappen camp. And actually, I wouldn't pin as much blame on Horner. And I'll tell you why I've got a soft spot for Horner. It's because I received a WhatsApp from him actually recently. But no, it is actually to do with the communication from Christian Horner. It wasn't through WhatsApp, it was through a letter. When I was 11 years old, before I'd even met you, I sent a handwritten letter to Christian Horner at the Red Bull factory. Basically, I can't remember. I asked him to wish Vettel and Webber luck and if there was any chance of a tour of the factory. So I was really pushing it.
Wow, you're ambitious.
Yeah. He basically came back and said unless I was disabled, I wouldn't be able to get any sort of tour or anything like that.
So did you get one?
I got a letter back. I will try and find it.
I'll try and find it for next... So you didn't get the tour.
I didn't get the tour. I got a letter back though.
I would have thought you were.
Say again?
Disabled.
Thank you. Getting back to my point.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for Horner after that. And again, I don't think I wouldn't blame the current situation on him. I would blame it on the infighting that's been caused by the Marko and by the Verstappen camp.
I would agree with that. I do think that the reason why Marko has such a strong political position is because he did bring Verstappen in, and that was a game changer.
That's the only good thing he's ever done.
I mean, since then, almost every driver decision has been not the right one. They brought in Gasly, who's performed well at Alpine. They brought in Albon, who's performed well at Williams, but they couldn't get any of them to perform well at Red Bull.
And what's the trend there? They brought them in too early.
Yeah.
Every single time. And that's always been Marko's decision. He's always brought them in too early.
Even De
Liam
Vries.
Lawson.
De Vries is the same story.
Well, De Vries was...
I mean, the Vries, I don't think they should have brought him in at all, to be honest.
Yeah, De Vries was just an impulse buy.
I've never rated De Vries. I've never rated him.
He was an impulse buy. He had one good race in Monza, which is the easiest track realistically to just hop in a car and drive. I mean, can you put your foot down? Is basically Monza.
All you have to do is drive around a few chicanes, and that's it.
That's just Formula One. All you got to do is drive around a few corners. It's nice and easy.
Yeah, but driving around Essex is a lot harder than driving around turn 1 and 2 around Monza.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think De Vries was very much an impulse buy and would never have worked. So yeah.
So what we're saying is Horner.
I'm
maybe
giving an
A tier.
I'm going A tier for Horner.
I would say A tier. And then Helmut Marko is not on the tier list.
Z. Down in Z at the very bottom. We're creating a new category.
We need
for
more
Marko.
letters for that.
What do Excel spreadsheets do?
So like
A,
Z.
Yeah, Z. There we go. That's where we can put Marko.
For all the kids watching, I'm very sorry. You're going to have to use Excel at some point, and you're not going to enjoy it.
Right, let's move on. We're going to be here a long time with this, aren't we?
Definitely.
Ferrari, Fred Vasseur. Freddie V.
Fred Vasseur, well, one, to start off with, he's a much better team principal than any of the ones that came before him, even in 2010s.
Yeah.
Binotto. So, 2022 was an interesting year because Ferrari had, at the start of the season at least, they had a really, really strong car. The biggest problem I had with Binotto is that he just couldn't admit the mistakes the team made.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mistake for was it that year in Monaco where Leclerc had the pit stop where he was behind? No, that was
20. Oh, was it 20? No, 21 was when he binned it in qualifying and they didn't check the other half of the car.
What did he do in 22?
22?
Was that no? He crashed, didn't he? He crashed and then his gearbox broke.
That was 21.
Or was it
22? I think was the pit stop issue you're talking about.
And then Binotto
Perez won it.
Yeah, Binotto could not admit that the team made a mistake. Binotto he couldn't admit that any of the team's mistakes, which they're making a lot of, and they couldn't learn from it. Vasseur has completely changed their mentality. From what I understand, Ferrari chose Vasseur because he didn't have any political allegiances, whereas Binotto had a lot of political allegiances, so there was a lot of infighting.
Mm-hmm.
But because Vasseur doesn't have any allegiances, he could basically have a fresh start, and he's really transformed the team's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They had a very good shot of winning the constructors last year, despite not having the fastest car at all.
Yeah,
like they had the second fastest car to either Red Bull or McLaren for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I would honestly put him in B plus, maybe A tier, because I think
I'd go to A. I'd say A for no. Let's say B plus. I think let him win something first.
Yeah, I think
and then he can go into A.
He does have a lot to prove, but I like him so far.
Yeah. I also find he's the least Ferrari team principal.
Yeah.
This is the same man who ran around chasing his drivers with a fucking water gun a few years ago. And then Ferrari, yes, that's our man.
I mean, history does tell us if you put a Frenchman to lead the Ferrari team, it goes very well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, should we move on to who would be next? Mercedes, Toto Wolff.
Toto Wolff. So Toto Wolff, I have mixed feelings about because I think I like some of his decisions, but also I think that he's a bit of a shill to the FIA sometimes. Because he's in a unique situation where he's not just a team principal, but he's also the third owner of Mercedes. A lot of the time he does what's more best for Mercedes, I guess. But I'm not sure if he does all the time. Because do you remember when Saudi Arabia had their first race and it was in qualifying where Charles Leclerc's Ferrari completely burst into pieces because the manhole cover came up at the bottom of the car?
You're thinking Las Vegas and Carlos Sainz.
That was Vegas, sorry. Yeah,
Sainz.
That was
We're
Vegas.
wrong on every single account there.
Hey, I'm close enough, right? It was Ferrari was the right team.
Well done, you got the red car. I'm so impressed. I'm so proud of you.
Anyway, so yeah, that Ferrari completely burst into a million pieces, and that was quite clearly the Vegas track's fault because that problem has happened a lot of times at a lot of street tracks. They should have learned by now that can't happen, especially at that stage of the season. It was very, very near the end of the season. So Ferrari had to, they didn't have any allocations left, and they went into the budget cap, which they already basically fully utilized. Do you remember it was Toto Wolff? Someone said the black eye comment, is this a black eye on Formula One? And Toto Wolff had almost had a breakdown.
Yeah.
He was like, no, that is not the case. This is great for Formula One. It's because Formula One owns they actually own the Vegas event, which they don't do that for any of other event, but they actually own the Vegas event. So it's in his best interest to promote that and to promote Vegas as a good venue. So I kind of don't like that with Toto, where he I wouldn't say it's a conflict of interest, because the last person he said the conflict of interest with Toto Wolff didn't really go too well, and his wife.
I mean, just wait till Susie does become president of the FIA. That'll be fun, won't it? But
to Susie Wolff,
oh God.
don't
stop.
Susie.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want you to finish that sentence. I just stop. Let's give him a rating and move on. I'm still going to say A, because that aside, he won so many world championships with Mercedes. I can't take him out of A tier.
Which is a very good team, which he inherited.
From Ross Brawn, I see your point, but he also sustained that.
He did sustain that
throughout multiple changes of regulation.
Yeah.
So while you can say maybe in the beginning, yes, he inherited it from Ross Brawn. Now, he's had several years to be able to maintain. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still A.
I can't say A because yes, I'd say if we were having this conversation in 2020, then I'd give him an S. But it's not 2020 anymore. It's 2025, and I think it's more like a B minus, to be honest, because the new ground effect era, it's been a bit of a mess for Mercedes. They've been nowhere. This year, the only reason they've been doing good is because George Russell has been driving out of his mind. And
there's apparently Fernando Alonso, according to you.
Kimi Antonelli is proving to be a strong driver as well. So I'd say B minus.
Should we just agree to disagree on that one?
Yes.
Let's move on to something we probably can agree on. Aston Martin. We could go to Andy Cowell here. He's technically team principal. I think it'd be far funnier if we talk about Lawrence Stroll.
I think it's Lawrence Stroll because I think...
Should we just say our ratings? We're 3, 2, 1, F.
D.
Okay, fair. All right, I think we're on the same page then. Go on.
So Lawrence Stroll, it's weird because I think his mentality, in some ways, is the correct mentality, is that he tries to hire the right people and he will do anything to put those people in the position. Dan Fallows is a very strange. It has a very strange story, because when they put Dan Fallows in, they were really excited to have him. They got him from Red Bull. Red Bull really didn't want him to leave, but Aston Martin did their familiar tactic, which they're still doing, of paying them so much money they couldn't say no.
Basically, just leaving the salary box blank on the contract. Just fill that in. Whatever you want, whatever you fancy.
Essentially,
just write
that's
it in.
what they did with Dan Fallows. And it started off quite well. I mean, Fernando was getting podium after podium after podium. Lance Stroll was being Lance, but that's a different story. But that I do like. That's a good mentality to have, because they're getting Adrian Newey out of it, and he's working full time right now
on the 26 regs as well.
And who was the driver? Who was the team? The technical leader who was delayed.
Enrico Cardile.
Cardile, who now delayed because he was talking to Aston Martin prematurely.
He was in their DMs.
Yeah. He was being a bit of a paedophile with.
Let's not go with that allegation.
Okay, no, but in Formula One terms, not in actual terms, as in he was talking prematurely to his team, which he's not allowed to do.
How does that make him a paedophile?
Because that's what paedophiles do. They talk prematurely to children before they're adults.
Oh God! Oh God! Moving on. Hello, Patreon. Oh God! You've just called Enrico Cardile a paedophile.
In F1 terms, oh, for the record, I don't think he's an actual paedophile. I'm sure he's been a very nice man.
To stop us getting in any more trouble, let's move on. Who have we got next?
Wait, I just want to finish that.
No, let's leave it. Let's not finish it.
So Lawrence Stroll.
No, Enrico Cardilo's a pedo. Let's leave it there. We're moving on. We're moving on.
We haven't talked about the bad stuff about Lawrence Stroll yet.
Okay, fine. Good point. Let's get to that. All right. That'll be some more content for us. Go. I'll quickly forget about this bit.
All right, so, but Lawrence Stroll, I think his culture that he implements just isn't very strong. Why are you laughing?
I can't get over it. Just, oh no. Just out there called him a pedo. I can't. I need a minute. Oh. Well, that's the clip for the week. There we go.
We're definitely not getting him invited to the airport, buddy.
No. Aston probably most likely to invite creators to their factory. Not anymore. Oh, right. I think I'm okay. Off you go.
Are you sure?
No. I'm not okay. It's okay. Breathe. Lawrence Stroll, go.
But I think the thing with Lawrence Stroll is that I don't really.
Sorry, I'm not okay.
I'm trying to remain professional here, William.
You are. You can't say professional. You just called someone a paedophile.
In fun terms.
No, you can't have a go at me for being professional. Sorry.
You are being very unprofessional right now. I'm trying to lead this podcast, and you're derailing me.
You fucking started it. This is on you.
Oh dear.
Oh, right.
Are you sure? Are you fine?
No. Go, Lawrence Stroll.
I'm gonna say 2 words. You're gonna laugh again. Are you sure?
No, it's fine. Go for it. You're all good.
Are you sure?
Don't look at me like that. I don't even know what we were talking about now.
So the thing with Lawrence Stroll though is that I don't think he implements a good work culture, because the way they were doing upgrades for a lot of times is they had to get specific performance advantages by very specific time frames. So they were basically had like quotas, but that's not exactly how F1 works. That's not how engineering works in total. And you see that with McLaren, where they don't implement upgrade packages very often, but when they do put an upgrade package on, it's huge and it always works. And I think it's a bit of a backwards corporate mentality that Lawrence Stroll implements, and so that's why I think he's so down. I have to put him in D tier.
Fair. I'm still trying to get over everything about Enrico Cardillo, so I didn't listen to a single word you just said, but I'll agree with you, and we'll move on.
Yes.
Okay, who have we got left?
Let's talk about Racing Bulls.
Yeah, Racing Bulls. Laurent Mekies. Not a whole lot to say on that one.
I did like, who was the last team principal again? What was his name?
Franz Tost.
Franz Tost. We
like Franz Tost, yeah.
Franz Tost was really good. I think
he never got his P5 though. He always wanted P5.
He always wanted P5, but that team, the main goal of that team was to be a development team. And under Franz Tost, I think they actually did a really good job.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think their strategy has suffered though in the last couple of years. And maybe that's because I'm a Ricciardo fan and I've spent a lot of time crying over it. But yeah, I think, and again, Yuki and Hajar's strategy was it China? No, in Australia, Hajar didn't have a strategy, he been on the formation but Yuki's strategy knocked him out the points.
Yeah.
And I think Hajar got hit in China, which took him out the points despite starting P7. So that's where I think they fall down a little bit for me. I go sort of C tier.
Yeah, the strategy, I would say C tier is about right. I think there's a lot to improve. The thing with Racing Bulls is I'm going to make a comparison to Alpine. I think they're on opposite sides of the spectrum, right? Because Alpine, I think, don't have very strong leadership. Mm-hmm. But I think their race team is still very, very strong. I think they still have the roots of Benetton and Renault of winning those world titles. And so I think their race team is very strong. I think on the other side, you have Racing Bulls, where I think their DNA is still Minardi. And so I think their race team is still quite far behind in that way, like Minardi was.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I can give you that. I think we all just wish they'd be back called Minardi again.
I wish. I do wish.
We all wish that.
I mean, you will not hear me calling them V-carb ever. That's not happening.
I think you've made your point on that already in a previous episode at this point, but
that was on the cut part. No one.
Yeah, probably because I made a joke that just didn't land. Yeah, that was
it. Because that part was just all terrible. Only the Patreon viewers will see that. Apparently, they liked it. I don't know why.
So yeah, if you do want to see all the bad bits of the podcast, do go and check out Patreon. That's a great advert. Thank you, Soheb, for that. Cheers. Let's move on. Haas. Ao Komatsu.
Oh, Ao Komatsu, I'd put A tier, maybe even.
No, I wouldn't go. Bear in mind who we've put in A tier already. We've put Zach Brown in A tier. We put Fred Vasseur in A tier. I'd say B+.
I think he's right now. I'd put him higher than Toto Wolff.
No, I can't do. If we just look at Toto Wolff from 2022 onwards, fine. But if I look at his entire career span, I can't put him. There's not enough there yet. He's had a year and a bit in the role. I can't put him above Toto yet.
I think he put a lot of stability in that team, whereas under Steiner, the team was kind of all over the place.
It was a meme prior to
Steiner did a very good job in putting that team on the grid in the first place. I think in this first year, he wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I think they needed someone with more stability, like Komatsu.
Yeah, and I think that works. I think he's very much the next in this kind of train of engineering-led team principals that we've seen more recently. Speaking of engineering-led team principals, Sauber, Binotto, I know we spoke about him already, but what has he done since going to Sauber?
He's basically like the shadow team principal, right?
Yeah, and then you've got your man from Red Bull who's just started and whose name I've completely forgotten, which is really bad.
Jonathan Wheatley.
Yeah, that was it. I think it's way too early to assess him. He's basically picked up this pile of sick that is Sauber at the moment, and is just sort of plucking out the bits that he can still eat out of it.
Yeah,
like it's not great. Binotto's been in there a bit longer. I've not seen a whole lot of change, if I'm honest.
But I don't think this year they can throw away. It doesn't matter about this year. What matters is Audi.
That's true. So where do we put them then on this little tier list?
I'd probably put around C tier because I don't think there's anything to scoff about, but it's also nothing.
I'll go D.
Have they? What have they done terrible this year? I mean, they've had no pace.
Just
obviously.
Everything.
They've had no pace, but at least they didn't have the pit stop issues they did last year.
That is true. So they've improved, but I'm still saying let's go D+ then.
I'll say D+.
Okay.
I'm happy with D+.
All right, D+. We should really have been writing these down because I don't know who we haven't covered. Williams. I think James Vowles is up in A tier for me. I think he has had the time. I wouldn't go A+. I'd say A- because we're still yet to see tangible results and podiums from that team. But they've made very steady progress. I think they've made some good decisions more recently with Sainz. Getting Sainz on board was a great signing. And I think a lot of that is James Vowles and what he's done to the team. So, yeah, and he was, of course, destined to be Toto Wolff's successor at one stage as well. So, yeah, there is enough evidence there now for me to say A tier. But I couldn't chuck him with Zach Brown yet because he's not taken that any further to win titles yet. But I don't think that's currently in Williams' game plan. I think that's still a few years away. So, I'd say A-, but on the up.
I would say A+ because that team last year, they had so many crashes. Their budget must have gone completely down the drain. And last year they had that nightmare winter.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And despite that, this year they're looking like the lead of the midfield.
Yeah,
they've been backmarked. They've been 9th or 10th for so long now. Maybe last year I think they got 8th or 7th. Was it?
I can't remember.
I think it was 8th they got last year.
I know they've got more points now than they had the entirety of last year, though.
And so the team, if they were at near the middle or the back of the midfield, I don't think anyone would say too much because that's where people would expect them to be. But they've completely exceeded expectations. And even last year, despite having so many crashes, they still got some decent results out of it. So I would say A+.
Okay, fair enough. I think we agree with the A tier at least in principle there.
Yeah.
I think we've probably missed somebody, but Should we just move on?
We've
been doing this for so long. Shane, we've answered your question, all right? You've got an entire, almost podcast-length episode for that. So.
And whoever we miss, you're not relevant.
Yeah, exactly. This is one like we've missed someone like Toto Wolff level at this stage. They're not relevant. It's fine.
So there's this episode. There's a lot of hubs that we're not going to be invited to. A lot of teams that we're never going to get invited.
We're never going anywhere near Aston Martin. They've probably already filed their. The name has left me. There was a joke in there.
Let's leave it behind.
Order. What do you call those things?
What?
The thingy orders when you're not allowed to go near people. The one that you've probably got. You've got a few of them. Restraining orders. That's it. Yeah, you've got a few of those.
Hey, I probably have less than you.
What do you mean less than me? Actually, let's move on. So, other questions that have come in this week. Monkey Child 9999. How many collective brain cells do you two have? I think as we've just demonstrated, cells is pretty generous.
I think we're probably losing more every time we do this podcast,
which is worrying because you start with a set number of brain cells and then when they go, they're gone. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. You can't get them back. From the start of your life, you're born with so many brain cells. And then they disappear, of course, of your life.
Yeah.
So we're in trouble there.
We're definitely in trouble.
Good. All right, let's move on then. How many Lando bottles this week?
It's a lot of fizzy drinks, isn't it?
It's a lot of fizzy drinks. Coca-Cola are raking it in.
It's strange because I feel like Lando either he will have a very good weekend or he won't bottle it at all. Mm-hmm. Either have a very good weekend or he'll bottle it loads.
Well, I have just made a video on Lando bottles, so I'm actually going to be ballsy here and say 0 because now I've kind of paradoxed it because everything I say, at least for the last year or so, has immediately aged poorly. I've just said that Lando Norris needs to grow up, which implies by that logic he will now have an amazing race in Jeddah. So I'm going to say 0 bottles this week, and then let's see what the F1 got to do with that.
I was going to say the same thing. But now that you've said that, I do not trust your predictions. So I think he's going to completely bottle it.
Fair. Okay, so how many bottles? I'm saying 0.
I think he's going to have 4 bottles.
Oh, that's a lot of bottles.
But the bottles are quite strong.
So like 4 vodka bottles? Are we talking
about
that?
I'll say maybe even... I'd say vodka bottles, yeah.
That's almost like a bottle per session then. That's a lot of bottles, mate.
Well, it's going to be either or. I don't think it's going to be in between.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's move on. I haven't actually looked at all of these. I got someone to put them in for me. You guys talk about sports. Will you actually ever do them yourselves? That's come from Cadence Sievers 8839.
I mean, I guess she's saying, do you ever compete in sports?
I think she's more saying, do I ever do exercise?
So with you, I think that's the look speaks for itself.
Good.
For me, I actually do kickboxing. I do it 3 to 4 times. It's between 2 and 4 times a week, and so I think that will probably explain why I'm the way I am because I get hit in the head multiple times a week, and this has been going on for 2 years now, and so that probably explains a lot of the reason why I have the takes I do.
Fair. I think I actually used to do a lot of sports. I don't anymore, which explains a lot. But no, I used to swim. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. So I've still got that under me.
Yeah, but do you still keep the black belt after, what has it been, 10 years?
I don't think it fits around me anymore. But I'm still technically, once you're a black belt for life.
Yeah, whatever you say, man.
Admittedly, I couldn't break the wood in the black belt exam. It's the only bit I failed, but they still let me have it.
Well, I would beat you up.
Want to bet?
Yes.
Right, YouTuber boxing, here we go, we're sorted.
For the Patreon viewers, if you don't, if you donate enough, we will. If you donate 500 quid, then we will do a boxing match.
500 quid on Patreon. Right, we have actually set up a new bit on Patreon. It's called the Talk Shift Pension Fund, and it's basically how this man gets paid. So if you want to keep Soheb for a little bit longer before he gets tired and realizes I won't pay him anymore, then head over to Patreon. It's £1 a month and it gets you all the Talk Shift stuff. So yeah, head over there. Let's move on with the next question. Has Will always been such a knob? This is you.
Oh, that is me.
That's you.
So that's a question from me to me.
Great, good. You got an answer for that?
Yeah, he has. Was me a knob.
Good. Let's move on. There's a reply. I don't know him personally, but yes.
Thank you, Boz 1380Y.
Brilliant. Good. Let's move on. Next up, Will needs to go on a Jane Plan diet. That's not a question. What is a Jane plan diet?
Well, you need a planned diet of some kind.
What's a Jane plan diet, though? Is that a diet planned by someone called Jane?
Shall we Google it?
You can Google it. Thank you, Fraser Fisher 1. You're a prick.
It's an actual company, Jane Plan. It's a diet company.
Great. Okay. Good.
Well, we're not. Well, unless we get sponsored by Jane Plan.
There you go. Maybe they can sponsor us, and we'll see if their diets work. Yeah. There you go. So Jane Plan, if you're watching,
it's a very, very tough assignment. So if you do decide to sponsor, you'd be showing outrageous results. I think it'll be a very, very good showing.
Yeah, you're the marketeer on this one, aren't you? Here we go. Here's an actual question: do you guys enjoy watching other races, but in F1 and IndyCar?
Did we answer this in the first podcast?
Probably did something similar. I think for me it is just F1 and IndyCar, but you're a big WEC fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I like WEC and sports cars as well. I don't watch them religiously, but I do like 24 Hours of Le Mans. I try and follow the storylines there, and I do like watching WEC and sports cars as well. I mean, I do like racing in ACC. I think that's a very, very fun game to drive. And I do really like the sports cars. I think sports cars has a very interesting history. The Group C era, especially of WEC, was unbelievable. So yeah, I'd say I'm more of a general sports car fan and an F1 fan.
That was a nice attempt to sort of salvage your wheel knowledge after you remembered the red car from earlier. So well done. Right, if the FP1 brand becomes successful, will Soheb be head of customer service? What do you think? Would you take that job?
I think I would be if I was the head of customer service, I would ban Liam Thomas 9622 from ever having any interaction with us.
Don't worry, I'm banning you, mate. That's a class question. Thank you very much. Right, in the past decade or so of F1, who is the most overrated driver in each of your opinions? I don't want to say my answer to this, but I'm gonna say Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
And I'm just thinking 10 years does not cover 2014. It does. 2015 wasn't a particularly great year for Ricciardo. 17, 18. I would actually argue 2020 as well. Solid years for the Honey Badger. After that, yeah, I hate to say that, but I'm going to say Danny Rick.
I'm going to say someone you won't expect.
Oh, good.
I'm going to say Lance Stroll as the most overrated driver, because
was Lance Stroll rated in the first place?
Yes, at a certain point during 2020 and 2021, and early 2022, when he had where 2020 and 2021 he had the pink Mercedes. That car was a very strong car. There's actually an argument with that car that it actually was the second best car. It was actually better than Red Bull. But Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll were weak drivers and could not get the best out of that car. And so I think, even though on paper the performances look very strong, I think the drivers themselves, I think everyone was rating Lance Stroll because the car was carrying him. So I think Lance Stroll was the most overrated driver because of those couple years where people were actually rating him.
I can't agree with that, but I sort of see your logic, but I still think Ricciardo's higher in that case. So nice try to be different, but no. Right, let's move on. That was the end of the questions. There is one more thing. We had a segment I suggested we do last week. Do you remember the segment?
No.
I'll let the video play out. Here he is.
What random Asian does Soheb look like?
How long did you spend editing this?
10 minutes. What random Asian does Soheb look like? We have had a submission. It is Adrian Pimento from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There you go.
Okay, viewers. Viewers, we need a word, okay?
That's from another F1 YouTuber as well. That was DM'd to me on Twitter. Can we just play the intro again? I'm really proud of that. Hang on, here we go.
What random Asian does Soheb look like?
I'm getting in so much trouble for that one.
I think we both might not make it to the next episode at this point. I mean, I'll probably leave by next episode after.
I'm now racist. You've just been called out a random engineer for being a paedophile.
No,
in F1
terms. I don't think he's actually a paedophile.
Oh man, I don't know where to go with on that. I think we should probably end this before we go any further. We've gone longer than any other Talk Shift episode ever. I think we're probably over an hour at this point.
Yeah, we've been here for a long time.
God help my editing. But if you have enjoyed, go and subscribe to Talk Shift if you haven't already. We're out there on all the other big podcast channels. We're out on Instagram and X and Blue Sky as well. Admittedly, I don't check Blue Sky. There's probably questions on Blue Sky that I've not answered. So yeah, tough luck. But you can check us out on Blue Sky. We still post on there. Maybe. I don't know. But one final thing, I mentioned it earlier, we are on Patreon now. It's still on the main FP1 Will Patreon. So if you are a part of that, or if you're a member of the FP1 Will channel as well, you'll get all the outtakes and stuff. There will probably outtakes aplenty from this episode as well. Things that we just can't say on here as well. That's all on there. So if you want to check that out, if you just want the Talk Shift stuff, it's £1 a month, and it's the Talk Shift pension fund, and that pays him.
Yes.
So
otherwise, I will be unpaid labour, and despite my skin colour, I do not want to be slave labour.
Okay.
I'm not in Saudi Arabia.
No, moving on. We've got the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix next. We'll be back. We'll be back. That was a nice segment. We'll be back after that to discuss what's happened. Our predictions, we've not had time to discuss them here. They're out on the social channels, so you can go and check those out. In the meantime, have a good one, everybody.
You didn't say like and subscribe.
Oh, like and subscribe, and have a good one, everybody.